This is kind of fun. We should talk about this. Different torture methods. They would heat up the pot with coals.
I like that.
So, you know, bamboo grows really fast, right?
That's pretty bad.
The Brazen Bull.
Yes, that is a bad one.
There's also the stew.
Yeah, no, I don't like it.
Have you heard of Scaphism?
I don't care for any of these, frankly.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
Well, on that note, happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
What'd you get up to on this fine Easter Sunday?
I ate a lot of good food with a lot of nice people.
Ooh, with Maria and friends?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Did Mike cook a bunch of, did he whip up a feast?
He gave me a beautiful charcuterie to bring over ahead of time.
That's
and
nice.
I actually happen to have a picture of it. It's quite artistic.
We'll throw it up right now.
And
I'm sure it's beautiful.
It was finely crafted with love, and it was delicious.
That's awesome. I actually have a pretty funny thing that happened this weekend, though.
Okay.
So I'm pretty convinced at this point that I have IBS because I was on the toilet. There's more toilet talk right out of the gate on yesterday. We went to Korean barbecue and it just went through me immediately, and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom, and I went to the bathroom like 16 times on Saturday.
Bro,
it was crazy.
Korean last time I had Korean barbecue, it destroyed me, but I bounced back.
Yeah, no, I seriously have something wrong with me. I'm going to the doctor for it. But the funny thing is that I had to excuse myself to go to the bathroom. While I'm in there, it's like there's 2 stalls and like 1 or 2 urinals. While I'm in there, I'm the only person in there. I'm just it's a disaster. It's a crime scene.
Yeah.
And in comes this like little kid. I saw his feet from under the stall. You can just see their like little feet. And then he's just alone. At first I thought he was with another kid, but I think he was just alone. And he's standing there. You can hear him taking a piss. And just out of nowhere, he doesn't realize that I'm in there. It's quiet. And he just goes, "It smells bad in here." I laughed so hard. I was dying. I could not contain myself. I was like trying not to be loud, but it was so funny. Just the way that he said it, just to himself.
I'm just imagining it like, it smells bad in here.
yeah. It was so matter of fact. You know, it's a kid, so it's like he's not trying to be offensive or anything. It's just so genuine.
Yeah,
and just so like
no
from
filter.
the heart. Yeah. It smells bad in here. It must have been so bad he felt that he couldn't. He had to say it out loud. He had to put it out in the ether.
Like he was noticing it, and he was like, "It smells bad in here."
Like just, while he's just holding his dick, taking a piss. I was dying, dude. It was so funny.
The worst bathroom noises I've ever heard have always been in airport bathrooms.
Yeah, what is it about?
You've noticed that too?
I think it's like I don't know, maybe it's a weird evolutionary reaction or something to us traveling or like going to a different place of the world or some kind of conquest where it's like you just get like travel shits.
I think it's partly that, and I think it's also just like airport bathrooms are a place to unleash. Like you don't have like in most bathrooms you're like I'm a little embarrassed by my noises or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But an airport bathroom is just like it's like the internet of bathrooms. It's like you're anonymous. You can, because you're in there with a bunch of other people. You're never gonna meet again.
Yeah, it's just a revolving door.
Yeah,
it's a cesspool. Anything travel related, planes, airports. It's just a cesspool.
So just you let loose with
habits.
no
no ass filter for sure.
Yeah,
it's pretty brutal.
I hope your intestinal situation is something that's fixable, treatable, workable.
Yeah, I don't want to be like Steve, where I just gotta like go everywhere with like a ham sandwich in my pocket.
Is that like wearing an onion on your belt?
An onion? I've never heard that one, but that sounds worse. I'll go with the ham sandwich if those are my options. But yeah, dude, it was pretty brutal this weekend. I'll get it ironed out.
Korean barbecue can be a brutal thing to inflict on your digestive system.
Yeah. It's all like meat with me. If it's like chicken, beef, even sushi, it just
you have
liquefies.
Digestive enzymes.
I took one before we went, and it's still
you can't like
you can't do it.
When did you take it?
Before I ate.
Like how long?
Maybe an hour.
No.
It's got to be right when?
Yeah, that could have made it worse.
Oh, really? It has to be right.
You need it in your stomach with the food.
I see.
It's a chemical reaction that's happening.
Okay. I ate it before we left the house.
Yeah, you need to put it in your pocket.
Probably 30,
if
40
you're
minutes.
going to eat a big meal, take 2 of them.
Okay. I'll try that.
And yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. Anyway, moving on from that topic, that lovely topic. I don't know what got in my head for some reason. I think I was watching a YouTube video and I was like, this is kind of fun. We should talk about this. Different torture methods.
Okay.
I don't think, like, obviously the show is talking about like all the weird stuff we do, whether it's current day or ancient times.
We as in humans, or we as in us?
We a little bit of both. Where it's humans, we are included in that umbrella term.
Yes.
But for this case, for today's episode, it's going to be a bit more about us as a people, and just some of the weird customs that we've created over time, particularly when it comes to how to inflict as much suffering onto another human as possible.
That is one thing that humans are scary good at.
Yeah, it is really crazy when you think about it. It really is crazy. It's like it's like real life hostile.
Imagine
evil geniuses.
If that was your job, like if you were the king's personal interrogator, like your job is literally to think of ways to hurt people.
Yeah.
And
you get paid to do that
in a customized, and it's like a bespoke approach, because this person, you can damage them as much as you want. It doesn't matter if they live through it.
Right.
This person, they need to be able to walk back out in public looking like nothing happened, but you need to get your information.
Yeah, and like there's such a variation here, because some of the torture methods that we're talking about today are intended to be interrogation based.
And some of them are just
some of them are just straight punishment. Like we just want you to suffer.
Yeah.
Oftentimes with the intention of them dying at the end of it. Like the most painful, slow death imaginable.
Yes.
Sometimes not slow. Sometimes it's quick, but it's still horrific. So I wanted to start off with one that is particularly recent in history, which is all the shit we got up to in Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So I didn't really know too much about this. Like I knew that we crossed a lot of lines, and there was a lot of moral dilemmas with how we handle things there. But this was, heavily run by the CIA, and they would put prisoners in a blackout box, which is basically just like one of these cardboard boxes where like you can't move. Like you're literally like this. It's like one of those contortionist boxes that, like Cirque du Soleil people like cram into.
Yeah.
But you're just trapped in that. They close it shut, so no light. And I don't even know how you would get air. Somehow you don't suffocate to death, but you're probably going to hyperventilate in there. It's super hot. And then to top it off, they blast music on repeat. And there's actually a Spotify playlist, CIA Guantanamo Bay, which uses actual tracks that were used by the CIA.
Does it include fish heads?
I don't know about that, but it does include the Meow Mix theme song and songs from Britney Spears, NSYNC. There's an Eminem one, Sesame Street, Barney, like a lot of kids. Okay. A lot of kids songs. Metallica is in there. I think that'd be sick.
Have we talked about on the pod solitary confinement, or was that just?
I think we've talked about it briefly.
Yeah.
I don't think we've like done a deep dive on it.
Okay.
But this is like peak solitary confinement.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find out
with a twist.
With a twist.
Because there's like 2 approaches that you could take with that box thing. You could go full sensory deprivation to max out the solitary confinement part of it.
Yeah.
Or you could go with sensory assault, which it sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is a little bit of both, right? Because you're in a black box where you can't see anything.
Right.
But all you can hear is this music that's just being pounded into your skull for hours on end. It was funny. There's a YouTube video I found of a BBC reporter, some like chick, some like middle-aged woman who like is like, I wanted to see what it was like inside the black box and how long I could last. Yeah. And so like they set it up or whatever. She goes in there and they start blasting music. And I think she lasted like 12 minutes.
I was going to guess 15.
Before she almost had a panic attack. Well, basically had a panic attack and was like, let me out. and just like was freaking out, dude. She was like, "Oh, I can't breathe, and my ankles hurt, and I'm sweating." And she's like, I can't breathe." So she lasted 12 minutes, and then there's another YouTube video of a guy who wasn't in solitary confinement, but he basically tried to do a 24-hour live stream where he just listened to that playlist.
Yeah.
And he made it through the 24 hours, but at one point he just breaks down like crying. And at another point, he it was a whole emotional roller coaster. He got really paranoid, thinking that someone was going to hear the music from like he was in an apartment complex. Yeah. He was just thinking that someone's going to hear this and like come in, like barge through the door and like cause problems. And actually, someone did. So his fears were confirmed at some point.
Why didn't he just use headphones?
He did. Eventually, he did. Okay. Once someone knocked on the door and complained,
yeah.
he switched to headphones, which made it way worse, and that's when he started really losing it.
Oh wow!
But he barely made it to 24 hours, and that he was just in his living room. He wasn't even in a box. So I can't imagine being in a box with that music. I mean, I wouldn't last 30 seconds.
No,
it sounds so insane, and that's a
more elegant torture for a more refined age.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
it's like, yeah, you can just smash somebody's body up.
Yeah.
But you target their mind.
Right. This one was meant for interrogation.
Yeah.
Right. They weren't trying to kill them. They were just trying to break them down to a point where they would just reveal secrets and stuff. So this is actually the lightest torture method that we're going to talk about today. This is easy street.
Yeah.
The next one is white room torture. This is actually kind of similar. They put you in a small cell that's completely painted white. So everything from the furniture, the walls, your clothes, everything is painted white. They only serve you rice to eat. And again, this is sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
Having zero perception of color, it apparently drives you mad.
Or time.
Because
the light is on the whole time, right?
Yes, exactly. Bright light, so it's reflecting, bouncing off of everything. And this was used by Iranian prisons and the CIA. For interrogations again.
Hey, that's multiple reliable sources saying it works.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. They got there's some testimonies here, so that one's pretty cool. I think I would still choose that over the black box, the blackout box. At least I'm kind of not squished into like a cube.
The physical discomfort is not there.
Yeah,
but ultimately, they both sound awful.
Yes. Yeah, they do.
I would prefer to not have to choose.
Right. And I think this one, it didn't say anything about music in the white room, but I would imagine music would make it worse than just silence.
I think
if it's for hours on end.
Yeah, probably worse.
Just the same track. Imagine just like listening to Britney Spears' Toxic for 12 hours. Then what do you do to get rid of that out of your head?
A bullet.
Yes,
that shit will traumatize you.
Yeah, definitely. You don't come out the same. And then there's also the stew. So this is a torture method used by the cartel, like the Sinaloa cartel.
Okay.
And they call it the stew. In Spanish, it translates to it's el guiso, which means the stew. And this is a torture method that they're still using today, like the cartel still fucks with.
Okay.
Which is basically filling up a barrel with water and sulfuric acid. And then until it's boiling and spitting hot liquid.
And then and everyone is wearing appropriate protective
except the dude that they're plunging into
goggles and gloves and stuff.
Except the poor sucker that gets submerged
into boiling sulfuric acid
and cooked alive. Yeah.
In
acid. So this is intended to kill. This is intended to you're goner after this. You're not coming back from this. Apparently there was a guy who was eventually arrested. They called him El Pozolero, which means the stew maker. This is like some Breaking Bad shit. He apparently like killed 240 people, documented, probably way more than that, but using this method. He was the guy who just put people in these tanks.
He was not a serial killer. He was a cartel employee.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess you could be considered a serial killer.
You can be both.
Yeah, you can. Don't let labels hold you back, guys. Don't let labels stop you from being both.
Just because you're getting a paycheck doesn't make you not a serial killer.
That's right. You know what? You can achieve it. You can have your cake and eat it too. They were also talking about how the cartel has taken their own spin, put their own twist on waterboarding. by using, I thought this was actually pretty clever, using carbonated water, and then they actually soak the water with peppers, like really hot, like Carolina Reapers, habaneros.
Okay.
So now you're getting a double, you're getting the sensation of drowning and the panic that already creates, plus the burning sensation of the peppers and the carbonation. I would imagine
that's just for flair.
That's just that's just that.
The chef had his twist that he put on the recipe. No, I can imagine the carbonated water being somehow even more uncomfortable than normal water.
Yeah, right. I mean, imagine like water up your nose. Now imagine carbonated water up your nose.
Yeah.
One's way shittier.
Yeah.
They're thinking, dude. If they applied that level of dedication to to not being
that just
psycho
gave me
killers.
That just gave me
a good idea for torturing.
A great idea for torture.
Well, share with the class, and don't keep it to yourself.
Well, all you'd have to do is just make somebody breathe a. No, that would be physiologically dangerous after a while. If you force somebody to breathe an oxygen and carbon dioxide mix,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
because high levels of carbon dioxide, like when you're swimming,
yeah,
and you feel like you're running out of air, it's not that you're actually running out of oxygen. When you actually have a lot more oxygen than you think you do, mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's when you feel like you're running out of air and you have to breathe. It's because the carbon dioxide levels in your body have risen to the point where it's sending a signal to your brain.
Yeah,
and it's driving you to try to fix that by breathing.
Gotcha.
But if you're breathing just a mixture with a high concentration of carbon dioxide,
right,
then that's going to induce like basically a panic attack because you're breathing, but you feel like you can't breathe.
I see.
And eventually I think it would lead to acidosis, which would be a medical emergency. So you couldn't really do it for too long.
So would the same alarm internally go off if you like left the gas stove on and then carbon dioxide levels were rising in your house? Would you kind of get
gas stoves don't run on carbon dioxide.
Oh,
they run on natural gas, which is odorless. So if you had enough of it to suffocate you, and you didn't notice the smell additive that they put in it, because natural gas is actually odorless. They put mercaptan in it,
right,
to give it a sulfury smell.
Got it.
So you notice it. But if you had enough natural gas build up, and you didn't ignite it, then yes, it would suffocate you if it displaced all the air.
I'm thinking of a carbon monoxide detector. I'm thinking of something different.
Yes, carbon monoxide is the silent killer.
Right.
If you do not have a carbon monoxide detector, go get one, plug it in, ideally somewhere near your furnace, but anywhere will do. More the better.
Good PSA. There's the Iron Maiden. We all kind of know what that is.
It's interesting how it's like been pretty hotly debated if that was a real thing or not.
Haven't they found? Have they never found like one, like a casket, an Iron Maiden casket?
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm not an authority on it. I do remember going to the Torture Museum I can't remember the name of the town in Germany.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I remember seeing one there.
It would be in Germany.
It would be, right?
Torture capital of the world.
But it was like all about historical stuff.
Yeah.
Like one thing that I remembered really vividly was they had a flute. It was like it was like a metal, it was like a wood or metal thing that attaches to a mask that goes over your face.
Okay.
And your hands are chained to it, and it's for bad musicians.
What?
What I remember is you were punished if you were being a shitty musician. Like people pay money to hear like a musician perform. If you're a bad musician, they make you wear that and they run you out of town.
Is it a real like flute? Are you actually playing like shitty music?
No, it's
the whole time?
It's just
a tube.
It's just forcing you to be like this.
Yeah,
like you're playing a flute or
makes
whatever.
You look like an asshole.
Wearing a mask with just eye holes.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah,
that is really funny. Relatively harmless, but very like super hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, the guy sucks at guitar.
So I think I remember seeing an Iron Maiden at that museum, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that one doesn't sound fun. None of these sound really fun. This one sounds particularly creative. Keel Hauling. Have you heard of Keel Hauling?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, this is this was conducted during the Dutch Asian trading routes when like people would sail for months on end to do trades, and this was a way to punish any sailors who engaged in misconduct or mutiny, if mutiny occurred and things like that. What they basically do is tie you to a long rope, and they would drag the person underneath the hull of the boat. So
they basically
all the way
run
through.
over them with a ship.
They run over them with a ship while they're tied to the rope, and they basically go all the way under from one side of the boat all the way to the other. And obviously you can drown. A lot of people would drown. But then there's also like a lot of like barnacles and crustacean things that are just like fixed to the boat that you can get head trauma on. You could, just
get sliced
concussions,
up.
Sliced up.
Yeah.
So you could die a multitude of ways from this. But I always I thought that this is kind of a fun one if you were an observer.
Yeah.
Because
you could take bets on whether they make it.
Or they're going to make it.
we immediately went to betting.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. No,
I'm sure that was
so
a thing.
effed up, dude.
Yeah,
that had to be.
Like you can't have a group of sailors watching one of their own be punished for something.
You can boink me wife if he makes it out of this one. Just betting their wives and children.
I imagine they had probably other currency.
Probably,
but maybe.
But women was definitely one of them for
probably.
Sure. So that's a fun one. There's also Lingchi, which is Chinese for slow slicing. This is also known as death by 1,000 cuts.
Different than flinsing?
I don't know what flinsing is. That didn't pop up.
Okay.
But this is basically where they tie you to a pole and they cut small portions of your skin and body parts off.
Mm-hmm.
They actually bypass your vital organs so that you survive, that you're alive as long as possible, so that you can actually be tortured. And this could apparently last several days. You're just getting pieces of you. You're just disappearing, basically, until you eventually die from your body injuries.
That's pretty bad. Flinsing is where you just take somebody's skin off.
Oh, that's like filleting, right? Or no, not filleting. That's a fish.
Yeah.
Flaying.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you said?
Flaying and flinsing. Ooh, I think it's flaying. Flinsing, I think, is where you go and start taking the muscle off. I'm not sure. I got to look that up.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, I don't need to look that up. I'm okay with it.
I saw flaying. I did a bit of research. Flaying came up a few times. Yeah, that's just removal of the skin.
You're not going to survive that.
No.
But I'm sure you could suffer in agony for a few days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Before the infections.
Sometimes they would leave you out, tie you to a post and leave you out in the sun until you were nice and crispy, and then they would peel the skin off.
Oh, like human jerky?
Yeah, human jerky.
Yeah.
And just peel you off like seaweed or something.
Wait, like leave you out in the sun and
so
then
that you get sunburnt. So that your skin peels. So your skin's
wow.
already peeling, and then it's torn off.
Wow, they were using solar panel power back then.
Yeah. It's amazing, where innovation takes us. It's good that we're developing as a species. This is good for everyone.
Yes.
So yeah, that's Lingchi. That was used by China, Vietnam, Korea, 900 AD, or predates back then. The Brazen Bull or the Bronze Bull.
Yes, that is a bad one.
Yeah, there's ancient Greek torture stuff. Metal bull. There was a metal bull with a person inside. It was like a large metal bull. There's a door. They would lead the person in.
It's an actual figure of a bull.
It's like a statue almost.
The animal.
Yeah.
Not a bull.
Not a bull, but it kind of is like a bull.
Yeah.
That you go into, and then they light a fire beneath. I mean, the thing's made of bronze. It gets hot, and
you get roasted.
But what I thought was also very creative about this one, which I found out just from researching, is that there was an acoustic apparatus inside the chamber that converted the person's screams into the sounds of like a bull. So as they would die,
it has like a thing so that the sound that person inside is making comes out the mouth of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just like kind of just transformed the acoustics of it so it would sound more like a wild beast. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that clever?
That's dedication to the craft.
Yeah.
That I don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's some sadistic shit. Because at that point, it's just pure enjoyment.
Yeah, no, it's a like a spectator event.
Right. I mean, you see like, Game of Thrones and shows like that where they show like, old school torture. Like everyone, it was like an event. It was like they didn't have movies back then. Like that was their like, hey, we're going to go see Johnny get beheaded on Saturday.
Or,
dude, bring the kids. It'll be great. We'll have dinner after.
Yeah.
That was just like, all right. Puts things in perspective. Like, all right, things aren't that bad right now. Things are so much better. I'll take today over any time in the deep past.
There are, I mean, there are like most of the time more sinister things.
Yeah.
Like I know, I remember reading about cases in the Middle East where homosexual men had their anus super glued shut. Like basically a super glue enema.
Yeah.
So there's not really any fixing that outside of major surgery.
Right.
So they just can't poop and then they die because they can't poop.
Yeah. Jeez. But they also can't have butt sex.
That's
technically it works.
That's actually
technically it does what it's supposed to.
I think that's like to whoever came up with that idea, it's like, oh, it's 2 in 1. It's like,
yeah,
it's a horrible death, and it's preventing them from doing this thing that we don't like anymore.
You'll die a straight death. That's the straightest death ever.
Yeah.
This is actually a pretty gay death. Bamboo torture. So bamboo grows really fast, right?
Oh shit! Yeah, I've heard of this.
They would tie people to bamboo shoots, and then they would have bamboo placed right beneath them, and then it would grow into the victim's body, up through their anus, up through various parts of their.
It would grow through them,
and it would go straight through them.
Yeah,
because apparently, like bamboo can grow up to like an inch an hour.
That's wild.
So I mean, it's just what a terribly slow.
You're just
awful way to go.
You're getting pierced by living needles.
Yes.
That are just burrowing through you
slowly.
And yeah, no, I don't like it,
dude. I mean, imagine like how many days you'd be alive through that. Just like
I'd prefer to minimize those days.
Yeah, dude. God, a swift like we're such bitches now. Now it's just like lethal injection. Just go to sleep. That's so nice. Comparatively, yes. Comparatively. We're putting
put it in perspective. Yes.
yeah. Still incredibly cruel to just kill someone in any capacity, in any way. But man, we were like, we shelved our, we're taking one for the team. We're like, you know what? We don't need to make a spectacle out of this. We're gonna put some of our own amusement and entertainment on the side.
I feel like taking the electric chair off the menu was sort of like a good step towards reducing the spectacle aspect of a execution.
Right. Yes, definitely.
Making it something clinical like lethal injection was, I think, a more civilized evolution of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like we started doing shots instead of like beer bongs. We're like, let's just get to the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be passionate. It doesn't have to be fun.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be a spectacle.
It should be anything but.
Yeah. Yeah. This is death we're talking about. It's dark. It's tough shit, dude. Oh yeah, they actually did a Mythbusters on the bamboo torture method.
Oh, how'd that go?
They confirmed like they what they did was they took like a gel model of a human torso.
Yeah.
That mimicked very closely like human flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And put some bamboo underneath it, tied it down, and waited to see what happened, and it pierced through entirely. It just fucking fucked it up.
They just had bamboo shoots coming up all through it.
Yes, all through it. And they're like, yep.
Because I bet they would route around the bones. If they hit like an obstacle like a bone, they just like...
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Just keep going up vertically.
Yeah. Pretty good drivers. It's bamboo shoots, dude. Insert joke here. But.
I don't know. Should you torture somebody using a panda's food?
That's double torture. Now the pandas are going to starve to death. That would suck. That'd be so funny if like
you just had a panda in the room watching, and it can't eat any of them.
Or if it just starts eating the bamboo that's growing out of your shoulder. You're just like, oh God, oh. Like, that would be so funny. That would be so funny. If you were just a savage back then, you'd be like, look at the panda. That's what they were doing.
Man.
Dude, they were having a jolly good time.
That is
jolly
good
time.
Whoever thought of that, like, it must have been something like they were hunting and they got a kill, but then it took them a little while to find it. And by the time they found it, they were like, there's bamboo growing through this animal?
Yeah. We should do this to a person.
We should do that to Johnson.
Yeah. Doesn't Johnson owe you money? Yeah, he does.
Let's give him the bamboo treatment. I want to see how that works.
That's exactly how it went down. Fucking Johnson. Bucket rat torture. You've heard of this?
Bucket.
This was used in London, specifically like in a lot of like London like torture dungeons during the Elizabethan era.
Okay.
So it was by like the dungeons were along like the River Thames and stuff, and they were underground.
A nasty place.
It's nasty, and there's a lot of vermin, rodents. Yeah. So the rodents would come from the River Thames, and they would go into the dungeons to seek, whatever shelter, and that's where they'd find a lot of the prisoners and stuff. And so the people in charge, the royalties, the authorities, they're like, oh, we got it, a light bulb idea. So they would take the rats, they would basically put someone on their back, strap them down, put a rat on their stomach, and put a pot, like a clay pot, over it. And then they would heat it up with coals. They would heat up the pot with coals.
I like that.
And so the rat, in order to escape the fiery heat, would try to eat its way out of the prisoner. So just go straight into their intestines and dig their way out, which is a pretty gruesome way to go. Pretty gruesome way.
Yeah, I don't care for any of these, frankly.
Yeah, but
that's not the point.
but it gets gayer.
Okay.
So that was used in London. In Argentina, they showed that they would use a rectoscope, which was basically a long tube that they would insert into someone's butt, insert into their anus, and then same deal. They'd put rats in the tube, and then put a hot piece of end, put like a hot pole on the other end. Force the rat,
chase them with a hot poker.
Yep, chase them through your butthole, and that's where they theorized that the saying "not giving a rat's ass" comes from.
Really? That's so obscure.
That's insane. Not that
so did Mythbusters do an episode where they shot the rat in with like compressed air?
Yeah, they put a rat up Jamie's ass, and he came out alive. So like, this myth is fucking busted, just like Jamie's asshole right now.
Dude, do you remember that? Okay, there was this whole thing where somebody photoshopped a picture of Jamie. Wait, is Jamie the guy?
Jamie's the portly, the more stoic, kind of quiet guy with the funny facial hair.
Okay,
right? And then there's
I can't remember names.
Oh God, what's his name?
The guy with the ginger hair.
Adam Savage, right?
It was one of them.
Jamie Hyneman and Adam Savage. Those
one
are
of the two
guys.
of them had a really well done Photoshop. Somebody posted.
Yeah.
That was just them gaping their butthole. And people were going ape shit over it for like weeks until it like finally was just like, okay, it's confirmed that was a fake.
Oh, was it really that good?
Apparently, like this was like mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So a good Photoshop then is like a garbage Photoshop.
Dude,
now.
Who'd have thought that was the ultimate myth that those guys were gonna bust?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I remember there was a bunch of commotion online about
Someone busted there. Good God.
That's such a weirdly targeted attack.
I know, right? Yeah. God. Well, I mean, like now the conspiracy theories all floating all around. It's like Michelle Obama has a dick. Like everyone's like,
How old is that one?
They've gotten crazy. That one's maybe a year.
What?
You haven't heard that one?
If anything, I would have expected somebody to have started that much earlier.
I've only really seen it circulating about a year ago.
Okay.
And yeah, I could have missed it from earlier, but
well,
that's apparently a theory, which could be true. Could be true.
I doubt it. It's pretty unusual to have both a penis and a uterus, but
not these days. Not these days. You don't judge, Ian. You can't judge. You can have all the things.
I mean, through the miracles of modern science or just genetic dice rolling the way they rolled, and yeah, maybe you could have all the things.
Could be whatever you want. Scaphism? Have you heard of Scaphism?
Actually, is that the one with your
honey?
Okay, yeah. So that actually was a method of torture that was mentioned on one of my favorite shows, The Venture Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had a slightly different version.
Did they actually do like a show it? Did they?
No, they were threatening somebody. They were just like, yeah, either you tell us or we'll put you in the tub.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, well, we put you in a tub and we fill it with milk and we pour honey on you. Oh, that sounds nice. Well, it is until, the milk starts going bad and there's poop in it and the flies come and then the rats come.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. This was from ancient Persia. Ancient Persia. It was a method of execution, actually, that was followed a bunch of suffering. Basically, they'd feed the person lots of milk and honey, like a tremendous amount, and that would give them. Oh, first of all, they would, after they fed them that, they'd strap them to a boat with their limbs kind of hanging off the edges.
Okay.
And then the milk and honey would give them diarrhea.
Ah.
So they would shit, and then the milk and the honey in the stool would attract vermin, flies, bees, rats, and they would basically just eat the person alive until like their entrails are hanging out, and they would like slather their stomachs with milk and honey.
More honey. More attractants for...
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
There was a guy who... He was a writer, John Sonaris. He documented a man who survived Scaphism for 17 days.
That's way too long.
For 17 days. They kept bringing him back. They would send him out all day, all night, and then the next day reapply more honey until like his eyes were gone, his intestines was just hanging out everywhere, and he eventually died from bodily injury. But 17 days.
Bodily injury?
Of just or his wounds.
Septicemia.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he died from something. He probably died from a million things at once. But that's pretty wild. That one sounds like the worst one. I can't even choose.
They're all pretty damn bad, but that is
the 17 days.
Pretty A tier, if not S tier.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So those are all the ones that I wrote down. What do you think the funniest torture method would be if you had to invent the funniest torture method? Wait, you said like carbon dioxide, if there's too high levels. What about like farting in someone's face over and over? Like death by 1,000 farts. Could that be a thing? If like...
Okay, the way that I'm responding with laughter indicates that it's kind of funny.
like 100 Gabe Newells in a room right after eating,
okay,
pastrami burgers from the Hat. And then they just like take turns, never ending. It's like never ending fart bukkake in your face. Do you think you would eventually pass out or just die?
I don't know. I think we should send that one to Mythbusters.
Jamie, strap this tube to your face.
They actually did do that in Jackass.
Oh God, it was like a fart mask.
Yeah, they did.
Oh jeez.
They literally they hooked up a tube to a fishbowl dome type of thing and farted into it.
Oh yeah, something. I saw that. Dude, I showed like the first 15 minutes of one of the Jackass movies to Mel because she had never seen any of it.
How'd that go?
She was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was dying laughing. just mostly at her reaction.
Dude.
It's like they were just doing Steve was just doing insane shit. And she would just like look over at me like, do men find this interesting? I was like, yeah, this is so funny. What are you talking about? This was our childhood, dude.
Yeah, it was.
It was our childhood.
That was 8th grade, I think.
Yeah.
I saw Jackass for the first time. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, those are crazy times. Those are simple times. Simple fun times.
Yeah.
Just guys having fun.
What kind of okay, so speaking of torture.
Yeah.
There's a special cruelty that humans develop when they're in like 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah.
Of like social torture.
Yeah, true. Right.
Which is
like bullying. Bullying becomes huge.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's when you start developing like a mob mentality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you start to be able to identify us versus them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, like you're different. You know, and when your survival instinct starts telling you to fit in, to blend in.
Yes,
right?
And I didn't have any of those. I remember I got mocked.
Walking target.
I got mocked for weeks.
Oh,
because I asked. I was at lunch and I saw somebody eating like KFC.
Yeah,
and I asked them, "Where did you acquire that chicken?"
Mm-hmm. Like you said verbatim those words.
Yes.
And that's what they made fun of you for?
Yes.
Because you said acquire.
Uh-huh.
You said a semi-interesting word. Or a semi...
Instead of where did you get that chicken, I said, where did you acquire that chicken? And
that's so funny. That's so funny that's what they made fun of you for.
Yeah.
That's very funny.
It was
for weeks. For weeks they just wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
It's the acquire. What would they say? They're just like acquire, man.
Hey, did you acquire a dick in your ass or something? I don't know. Like just.
That's actually very funny.
Just
that's so funny.
Stuff like that. Just making fun of the use of that word.
Dude, yeah, kids are brutal that way. Where it's like it's just a stupid like you say one word. You know what I mean? It's just something so meaningless, and then they hold it over you, like for till the end of time. I would get made fun of for. I had a rolling backpack in middle school, and it was like the type of school that just didn't have rolling backpacks. There were no nerds there. I was like the only nerd. Yeah, and so I don't know. I don't remember what people would say, but they would just give me shit for it all the time. Like you look like a total dork with one of those things.
Yeah, you do.
Like
I remember
biggest fucking douche.
I remember a good number of rolling backpacks
or sorry, I'll bleep that out.
In high school.
But it's fine when everybody else has one.
Except when you're like
unless yours is pink or something with fucking dinosaur.
There was one person I saw with one, and they were never not running with it.
Oh, I think I remember the same person. They were always running. Yeah. It was a guy, right?
Yeah.
It was like an Asian guy.
Yeah.
And he was always just fucking hauling.
He was like and you Hermione Granger if she didn't have a time turner or something. Just like trying to take all the classes or so. I don't know.
I can still hear like the wheels echoing through the quad as he was running through.
Just like, here he comes, get out the way. Yeah. And it's like, we laugh about it, and it's not. At this point, it's just like it's funny to remember like that was a thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, totally.
But I don't think do you remember anybody like giving him shit for it or like giving people shit for having?
He was probably running away from people trying to kick his ass.
Wow. Okay.
Running for his life, dude. Where'd you acquire that backpack, loser? Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
We came from a very nerdy school, so like that sort of behavior wasn't that outlandish.
Yeah, no, there was a guy with a Naruto headband.
Okay, I don't remember him, but I totally believe it. Yeah.
And
Naruto was way back then, huh?
It was back then. And he wore that. Wow. He wore that all the time.
That was his jam.
Uh-huh.
That was his happy place.
He had like a nice
blanket,
engraved metal Headband.
God,
thing.
I wish that was the backpack guy. If he was also wearing the Naruto
Oh, that would
headband,
have been for real.
Oh, that was the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
that would have just completed the picture perfectly.
I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
I suspected that it had to do with some kind of anime thing, but I had no idea.
God,
because I was completely disconnected from pop culture stuff.
What a bunch of dorks, dude.
Yeah, it was a good school for us.
We should bring those torture methods back, dude. We got to straighten these kids out, dude. We got to straighten them out. Set the record straight.
Oh, man.
Dude, yeah. I remember getting bullied. I did get bullied at our school, despite it being pretty nerdy. But they were like, there were two guys who...
Were they jock types?
They were like the skater... like smoke cigarettes by the fence guys, you know, the losers.
Yeah.
They were losers. But they, you know, they were bigger than me. They were, you know, whatever. And I think one of them was like technically a year older than me, but he was so dumb he got held back. So he's, you know,
he was just like extra big,
stronger, but just way dumber, just so dumb. He'd probably been at that school for 16 years. But he and this other guy would just like come up to me and call me like a loser. They'd be like, "You sack of shit," and like just for no reason at all.
They just picked you.
They just picked me, which I was very. I think we were all kind of targets in a way. I was a prime target though because I was like super. I had my stupid emo phase.
Yeah,
I was just super fucking emo. I had like the dyed hair and like the spiked belt and like the jeans that were girl jeans that were way too fucking tight. I looked like I needed a ass beating. So these guys just saw me one day and they're like, "Him, he's gay." And they just walked over to me and just started calling me names. I was just like, what?
So what do you remember? Never mind.
Okay. I was going to say, but those were the guys. They were definitely there was two types of kids at our school. The students that tested to get in because they lived outside of the district.
Oh,
and the ones that just lived down the street that just got in for free, that weren't
local
the sharpest tools in the shed. That was those guys.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I didn't really get bullied too much at our school. It was just that, and it was just like one or two encounters, and then I think eventually they got bored because I wasn't really reacting too strongly. But damn, I don't think I bullied anyone in school. I was a little bitch. I didn't bully anyone. I didn't bully anyone.
The only person I ever bullied was you.
Yeah, that's so funny. And I wasn't even aware of it. I was so oblivious. I was such an idiot. I was just like, I had no idea.
It was more mild. It was more
mild
like trolling.
Yeah, it was more mild trolling. Yeah.
But it came from a place of bullying.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Maybe like my heart was in the wrong place.
Maybe in your mind it seemed way more like a bullying thing.
Yes.
But in reality it was just more subtle.
I was fucking with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just I was just so naive and oblivious that I just didn't even catch on that anything was afoot. I was so aloof. So fucking aloof. My whole life.
Oh man.
That's so funny.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, I didn't really bully anyone. I'd steal Aaron's weed sometimes. That's about it. No, I didn't even steal his weed. I just smoked his weed. He knew I had his weed, but I was like, I'm smoking this right now.
I'm destroying the evidence.
Me and Chris we just go in the parking lot. Like Aaron was like trying to sell it, and we're just smoking all of it.
Oh, it was Chris and Aaron when he got he got in a car crash.
Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Off the 57.
Okay.
I think it was with Chris.
Probably.
And no. Anyway, I took his story about getting into a car crash and made it into mine.
For this class?
For this class, because I think this particular one was sort of like I don't remember why it was like just kind of telling a story of something.
Okay.
It was like writing out a narrative and then delivering it, something along those lines.
Gotcha.
But in this case, I thought I referred to a car as a rice rocket. And
uh-oh.
Exactly. and I
things weren't really that woke back then, though.
But the professor was like, "Hey,
cool it, or you can't say that.
That's
inappropriate.
You don't want to use that. You don't want to use that term or something like that." And they didn't specify exactly what they were referring to.
Right.
I was so confused. Because I had never had an experience of rice rocket meaning anything derogatory or negative.
Sure.
It was like Japanese import modded cars.
Exactly, yeah.
Like that subset culture.
Right.
Like, yeah,
that's how it was back then. Like, obviously I guess there had to have been some people who were saying stuff like that, certain terms intending to be offensive, but most of the time they were just like phrases that had become popularized and it
was a colloquialism.
Yeah, exactly. And we were just saying it, just to reference it because it was a trendy word that caught on, but somehow along the way people started to choose to be offended by it. And it started becoming more of an issue where suddenly you can't say anything that even remotely references any kind of group.
So just to confirm, I'm pretty sure I know the answer.
Yeah.
And I know the answer, but rice rocket is now officially an offensive term, right?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Like you have to assume it. You have to
assume it is. You can't
because
just
you haven't actually had any direct proof of that.
Correct.
But yeah, you have to assume it is.
I'm also assuming that because I haven't heard anyone use it in so long.
It was sort of like a limited life thing. It's like one of how turns of phrase or colloquialisms kind of come and go.
Yeah.
Some of them stay. Some of them are cultural touchstone related.
Right.
But a lot of them come and go.
And some of them just stay in certain regions, like stay popular in certain areas. But yeah, I mean, I would assume anything that's even ambiguous is just automatically considered not safe to say, not politically correct, offensive. You're going to piss off someone.
And
someone's going to care.
I'm acutely aware of that sometimes. And it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. How did you even realize that that's what your teacher was talking about? Was it like
took
years later?
It took years.
You just woke up from a sweat.
It was like
rice rocket.
Okay. It was sort of like I was riding a bus and this girl started talking to me and she was being nice and gave me a compliment and I was just like, oh, she's really nice. And then 6 years later, I'm like, holy shit, she was flirting with me. It was kind of like that.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah,
like who talks to somebody on what woman is going to talk to a dude on the bus,
right?
Say something nice about them,
yeah,
like and take the risk of doing that.
Exactly. On the bus is a bold move for a woman.
Yeah,
I mean for anyone on an LA bus, but
it was in Arizona at the time.
Okay, all right.
Which that honestly is only marginally better than LA.
I would imagine. It's just as dirty but hotter. Like, yeah, no, I mean that's understandable. Like, I feel like that's just as hard to know that what was going on there as the rice rocket thing.
No,
as a guy, we're clueless when a girl's like trying to flirt with us,
unless we're like really in the zone, like. And by in the zone, I guess I mean horny.
Frustrated.
And just like, really primed to pick up on that.
But it's funny because we'll do the opposite where if a girl isn't flirting with us and she's simply just being polite, we'll be like, yes, she wants to suck my D.
And that is the thing.
Like we get it completely backwards.
But here's the thing. There's an advantage to that. It's better to be wrong about that.
Sure.
In terms of being able to reproduce,
yeah, right.
It's better to assume that somebody wants you, than to not make a move.
Well, until that results in sexual harassment.
No, I'm simply talking from like
evolutionary standpoint.
Like yes, what makes you what tendencies make you successful at reproducing?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
False positives are okay. Ignoring an invitation is a big fail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Just don't become a Me Too perpetrator in the process.
I don't know how I would. Like, and actually that's in of itself scary, because it's like, what are things that I think are completely innocuous that could become unacceptable? Like,
right.
And why is there going to be like a code of conduct that's approved?
Yeah.
And,
what's
and
the
codified?
What's the rice rocket of touching chicks? You know.
Well, I don't go touching.
Okay, maybe
chicks.
not touching chicks. The rice rocket of interacting with women, you know, where you think it's fairly harmless, and then someone calls you out and you're like, no, you can't do that.
I don't know, man. It just I don't know, because I like to think that I operate from a place of good intention.
Yeah.
And I want good things for other people. Obviously, I want good things for myself.
Right.
But I want good things for other people, and I want to be respectful and considerate to other people.
Yeah.
And it's really frustrating to think that a simple misinterpretation
right.
of, you know, something that I do with good intentions, and I know sometimes you do things with good intentions and you get terrible outcomes.
For sure.
But I
like clutching a woman's breast.
Yeah. With that lion was going to bite them. I had to protect them.
I was being brave.
No, it kind of scares me. Like, I could do something that I think is completely benign, and somebody's like, "Oh, that was extremely inappropriate, or a microaggression, or something far worse." Yeah. And what are the rules?
Right, exactly. They're just defined by whoever's in the room, really.
Yeah.
You know? Because like the way that you talk amongst your closest friends is different than how you talk in a group of people that you're not really familiar with. Yes. So, but it's crazy, because when you think about the masses, then you have to cater to the most easily offended person in the room.
So lowest common denominator.
Yes. Which means that you can't say anything. You know, which is like,
well, then just shut up.
Freedom of speech, bro. My First Amendment rights.
Actually, no. I happen to think fairly strongly that my rights do not end where your feelings begin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
And unfortunately, that's not a very popular point of view.
It's not.
So I try to not broadcast it.
Yeah, right.
I just try to live my life.
Yeah, it's kind of like these days you sort of have to pick your battles, I think.
Yeah.
Choose like, okay, all right, is this hill worth dying on right now? Mm-hmm. Or it's like I could just shut up or whatever. Or sometimes it's like, no, I really feel like this should be said, or like I want to express myself in a certain way, and I'm not going to let somebody's feelings just get in the way of that freedom. Yeah. But that's where we're at. On that note, though, I think we should probably wrap things up. It's been it's time. We're crossed an hour. We don't want to give these guys too much free content.
Did you say almost an hour?
Oh, it's been over an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. See you soon.
Later.
Bye.